Okay, I'm going to try and make this quick so I can get it out before the game is released. And yes, the day before counts. I'll also be trying to trim the fat and keep the video focused, as any discussion around New Dawn begs for a longer, broader discussion on Far Cry and its poor history around tone-deaf narratives, veering on far-right propaganda in some instances. One of these days I will go even deeper into it. Until then, Far Cry New Dawn is the direct sequel to 2018's Far Cry 5, set in the post-apocalyptic landscape left in the wake of its predecessor, revolving around a group of survivors, including the cult leader villain from the last game, as they battle against the Highwaymen, led by two black women attempting to gain any resources they can in the new landscape devoid of the once monolithic societal systems that covered the country. For those of you who have been keeping up with the Far Cry series, it might be starting to click for you, maybe even some alarm systems going off. For those unfamiliar, you may be thinking that the twins are the protagonists and the cult leader, obviously meant to draw parallels with far-right figureheads, is the villain. Well, you'd be wrong. And there's the problem. Simply put, the gaming industry, let alone New Dawn's developers, is extremely inept at handling black characters and is woefully unprepared for the vitriol that will arise from a very vocal portion of the gaming industry, not out of rejection of the villains being black, but a rather too enthusiastic embrace. Or even worse, the developers are aware of this and are hoping to market and profit off of it. Before I go on, none of this is to say that there are only white men playing games and that there aren't any women or people of color in the gaming community or industry. They deserve the right to exist in this space despite the constant pushback. Because if we take a broad overview of online gaming as a whole, there's a long history of white male rage, specifically against women, members of the LGBT community, people of color, or any person or persons who dares threaten their idea of gaming. From the casual slurs in Halo lobbies to Gamergate, which, by the way, was and will never be anything other than a long and widespread campaign of harassment against women. And there's also the outrage at gay and or woman characters in popular franchises. I mean, Jesus Christ. There are thousands of dislikes from people on this site because they don't like Wolfenstein, the game about killing Nazis, for being a game about killing Nazis. There is a reason white nationalists use game chats and video game lobbies as a recruitment tool. While I could go on about how New Dawn, by having black women as the main villains, and the developers doing their damnedest to make them unlikable, because God forbid we empathize with any black person, or worse, see they might have a point, and that the only way for black women to make any substantial gains towards respect or comfortability in society is to completely tear society down. And while I could go on about having the far-right cult leader as a protagonist will only help said recruitment by said nationalists, the base of this argument comes down to those who hate people who look like this, but like people like this, tend to do things like this. But that's not even the reason why I'm making this video. Instead, let's rewind a few months back to the release of Red Dead Redemption 2. In that game, there was a single suffragette feminist NPC. Keep in mind that she had nothing to do with the main story, but that did not stop players from going out of their way to kill her multiple ways, upload the videos to YouTube, and subsequently get thousands and thousands of views. And now those same people now get the opportunity to inflict that same virtual violence on New Dawn's villains. And that's what worries me. That's what scares me. Virtual or not, the intent is still there. Because now, black women, who not only have to deal with the typical BS that comes with playing video games as a black woman, now get to see exactly how the community feels about them, as other players broadcast themselves, choosing to kill these characters over and over and over again.